back to the Monza Cup, brought to you by Right House Drivers Club. We'll be getting underway with the race very shortly. Here's a quick reminder of the kart numbers. As the final drivers are getting strapped in and heading round to the grid, the race will be beginning very shortly. So as we have a look at the bricks, we have two drivers. One driver, I think that's the number 3 that's still empty, which is Jai. He's just on his way down now. I've just seen him. Last driver taking his seat now, and there's Jai peering out the right. So you probably haven't heard that. I've just heard the marshal tell Max Mottram in the number 1 that he'll be starting on pole. And away he goes, heads over to the grid. We'll follow him round to see how he gets the kart warm again after that brief interlude, if he does any warming up. Zach Brown pumping the throttle and trying to get the clutch a bit warmer. It's a good move. No real even from any of the drivers, although Max Mottram giving it a little bit of that now. Just as he approaches the grid, try and scrub the tyres a bit, get some heat in them before we start the race. Easier said than done. These are very hard tyres, and when you then got to sit and wait for other drivers to come round to the grid, it's tricky to say the least to keep the heat in. Jai Jordan leaving the bricks now. Just had a quick chat with Jai and his dad about his cornering technique for his stadium. He said he's going to give it a go, see if we can get on the inside line and get his lap times down a little bit. I think he's a good driver. He knows his stuff, he loves it, lives and breathes it. But he's still young, he's inexperienced to a certain extent. A little bit of coaching here and there. Even the best drivers need a bit of coaching. So that is all of them on their way to the grid now. It's normally about 45 minutes. Just speaking to Jai Jordan's grandfather, reminding him that it's a 45-minute race, subtracted the time that they had as a break, which was only 5 minutes or so. We can probably expect a 40-minute race, I would have thought. It's more of an endurance style of who can do the largest distance in that 40 minutes rather than a set amount of laps. So the final driver being positioned now, I think that is Jai. Marshals clear the grid, and now the red lights will come on under the gantry. There's the reds. The revs go up. It's green, and away they go for the first time into stadium. Everyone getting away well. Nobody losing out hugely, I don't think. Jai having a look around the outside, looking for third. Didn't quite make it work. Well, let's have a quick look at the front. So as they come through for the first time, that is Max Mottram first, Zach Brown second, and it is the number 6 and number 3. Oh, Jai just gets him down the straight into final 1. Superb driving. The number 6 there, that is Drake Hines, just losing out to Jai Jordan down the straight. He's going to have a look now, surely try and get him back into stadium. space to do that. There's still Max Mottram from Zach Brown, Jai Jordan, Drake Hines. Oh, and there may be a change of position between the 4 and the 5. Not quite this time as they head into pylon. I did see just out the corner of my eye there, the last car took through pylon 1 now. I couldn't see their number, but they spun out slightly, had a little half. Oh, we get a yellow flag for a spinner at pylon 2. Who is that? I think that is Drake Hines. So whether that was an attempted overtake gone wrong or contact I didn't see. I would have thought it's probably more of an honest mistake. These drivers do tend to be one of the better groups of drivers in terms of warnings and things like that. We don't have to give many out for these guys, which is always good. That's what we like. We don't like giving the warnings, contrary to what some of the drivers think. So the top 3 starting to stretch their legs, but the rest of the field's still very bunched up. You see 6 karts all in one screen there, but the front 3, I've got a contact warning for kart number 4. That is Joel Mutter. He's in the field in the big group. Going through elbow now. Just a contact warning. Where is Joel? There he is in the blue suit. So contact warning for Joel Mutter. Oh, and that was very defensive driving there from the white and pink crash helmet. Or white and red, sorry, it's tracked up there. We don't say red on the radios. Seen that contact warning now, and that will soon disappear. So top 3, still Max Mottram from Zach Brown from Jai Jordan. 4th place is Hugo for the time being, but he's taking hairpin 2 very slowly. A strange line. Number 5 in 5th place. Number 5 is James Misson. Right, there's some contact there and there's a spinner. Oh, and we got one in the wall as well. It's going to need a runner. This is what happens when you race wheel to wheel, is someone's going to make a mistake at some point. The race leaders will be approaching this yellow flag zone, wondering where the incident is and where they need to slow. We do keep an eye on the lap times, and we do make sure that nobody sets the fastest lap when the yellow flags are out. There needs to be a slowing down for the incident at least. The problem obviously at pylon is that it is more or less blind as you go in, so you have to assume that it is round the corner. And Steve, I was not referring to the Jensen Cup. There's just in general, some drivers are worse than others for the warnings. All of our championships are expertly run. All the drivers know their stuff. It's frustrating for us when we have to give the warnings out, but rules are the rules. Max Mottram goes through the S's, bumps the curb. Is the suggested line, I would say. Number 6, for Drake Hines, just adjusting his belts as he comes past me. perhaps just with an itchy neck. And being rapidly caught now by the race leader, Max Mottram. And speaking of rapidly caught, Zach Brown is being closed in on by Jai Jordan at a fair old rate of knots. That gap is significantly smaller than it was a couple of laps ago. And if Jai carries on like that, he could be in for second place here. He's got the time to close that gap, and if he can keep it going, then he'll be in for a good result, a good championship points. And as we near the end of the season, every point matters, remember. We just watch group towards the back, jostling as they head through onto the back straight. And the contact warning for kart number 9 is Karim. Not sure whereabouts on the circuit he is, but I think he would have been in the stadium now. And that would be suggested as well by the fact that the warning has just disappeared. There he is, in fact, the yellow shoulders. Oh, sorry, that is not him. There he is. That's the number 9. Karen. Distinctive goalkeeping gloves. Makes a lot of sense, I suppose. It keeps your hands warm as much as anything. So the race leader still Max Mottram. Zach Brown still second for the time being, but as I said a second ago, Jai Jordan is closing the gap and closing it quickly. Speaking of closing the gap, Hugo is also closing on the kart in front of him. I can't quite see who that is at the moment, but I think from memory it should be Drake Hines, number 6. Head down the back straight. Let's just follow those two for the time being as Hugo closes the gap ever more. Significantly faster through stadium, not sure necessarily how. Much faster still through hairpin 1. No, I don't think that is Drake Hines. What number is this? Oh, it is. It's the number 6 of Drake Hines. Drake obviously not having his best day, because that is a large gap that's been closed down very quickly by Hugo. Max Mottram was stretching his legs and driving away. These two, second and third. The gap's getting smaller every lap. Jai Jordan is on a mission to try and close that gap, get that second place, get another step up the podium to help towards his championship efforts. Speaking of mission, James Misson, not quite the same, but it nearly rhymes, is there, leading this group of 3 into pylon 1. Just behind Ollie Renwick, just entered the back straight, just about to go under the gantry, so a few car lengths behind, but these group of 3. Let's just have a look at this battle that's going to begin now between Drake Hines and Hugo. Only a kart length or so between them now as they head into pylon another time. A spark off the bottom of Drake's kart as he bumps the curb. Hugo runs wide, loses some ground. He's maybe suffering. Quite common when you're following a kart to get fixated on that kart and make a mistake. Wouldn't have suggested maybe that Hugo would fall into that trap. As I said earlier, he's a very thoughtful driver. He closes the gap even more as they head into hairpin 1 again. Warren Drake cutting the line short, trying to go defensive, ensure he's got the inside line as they head into pylon. Get that racing line, and he's got it. Now Hugo's having a look into the S's. Can he make that around the outside? Not this time. He's going to set him up well down the back straight though. Can he do it into Stadium? Can he do it before Stadium? I don't think he can. There's not the speed difference this time. But it may be as they come out from the hedges they will have swapped. They haven't this time. But what about at the hairpin? What can he do there? Can he make the move? Not this time. Let's just see what Drake does this time. Does he take the standard line? He does. Hugo follows. So not really using much of the circuit. Hugo having a look up the inside, decides better of it. Let's see what I was saying with the thoughtful driver who will consider a move before doing it. Doesn't often get caught out. Stadium. In the fourth, in the front of the picture there, we see Jai Jordan trying to catch up with Zach Brown and closing on him, but not as close as these two at the time being. Very, very close as they head through into pylon again. Hugo there. This is the tail end of this, but we're going to go to hairpin 1. We've got 3 carts jostling for position. And the number 4, Joel Mutter, the blue suit at the back of this group, just having a little look, trying to get past. Well, I can't quite do it this time on the cart, number 5, James Misson. We are probably 15 minutes into this race, so we've got roughly half an hour to go, maybe just under. Starting to get darker, the clouds are coming in. I think we can, it does look as if rain is on the way, but will this rain hold off and get a bit of a shower to liven this race up? Very drastically change the order if it does rain. Trying to see now where is our race leader. I think that may be him. Yes, it is. There's the number 1, Max Mottram. So drivers behind him, immediately behind him now, are lapped drivers. Still Zach Brown second, John Jordan third. Podium places. There is quite a gap. I mean, those 2 drivers are just coming out of hairpin 2 now as Max goes onto the back straight, so it's quite a large gap between them. Max trying to capitalise on his early pace. Taking enough curb there, and let's just watch him through hairpin 2. You'll see what I mean, running nice and wide out to the white line, using all the track to open the corner to carry the speed. Whereas, and that's rather forcing the error, but the number 7 gets past, and that is Ollie Renwick. And that was an overtake on Karim. done. So as it gets darker, we can probably expect to see some floodlights coming on soon. Did have a first, I would say, night race yesterday because of the storm clouds that were up above the circuit. The first live streamed night race anyway. Obviously we've run them before, but not on camera. Have a look whereabouts that battle second is. I think they're under the gantry now, with a back marker between them. And it is, there they are. There is Jai Jordan dealing with the back marker, Zach Brown ahead of him, the number 11. The back marker in question is the number 5 of James Misson. Obviously we don't use the blue flags, as I've explained to quite a few of the parents before. It helps drivers deal with the overtaking situation. If they're a faster driver, then they'll be able to get past, as Jai Jordan is doing now. As he gets into stadium, goes round as the floodlights come on. So Jai can now get back to the matter in hand and start closing that gap down again to the number 11 of Zach Brown. Max Montron just passing me, going into pylon. Really broadening that gap now. To second place is almost as we approach the half an hour mark. Wind is really picking up now, I have to say. It's very, very strong winds. Well, having driven in conditions like this, you don't really feel it too much when you're at track level. As much as you would, for example, when I'm on the balcony filming this. Also as well, because the karts are very low to the ground, there's not a lot of upper body work. This is slightly more with these junior karts, the roll hoop, but you don't really feel the effects of the winds too much, unless it's a tailwind or a headwind. As I think that is the number 4, John Nutter, pulling over onto the bricks. Not sure why. Marshals go to him and have a quick chat, find out what the problem is, try and get him going again. At this stage in the championship, every point matters, so even if you finish the race and someone else wasn't here, that will be better than not finishing the race. So I suppose, having said that though, he has probably finished enough of the race to be classified as a finisher. His engine is being restarted, and I think he's just going to be released into a gap. Perhaps not. Maybe he feels slightly ill. He's being taken off the circuit, so unfortunately that will be a DNF for Joel Massa. I do not, however, think he will not be classified. I think he has finished enough of the race to be a classified finisher. So as the temperature drops, the light levels go and the wind picks up. The floodlights are now on around the circuit. And we are definitely entering the latter stages of the season. You can feel it. A lot of these drivers really pushing. They know the points matter. The number one there now lapping Hugo in the number two. Let's see if Hugo puts up much of a fight or if he knows he's being lapped. Second place still Zach Brown. Third place still Jai Jordan. After that it gets a little bit confusing with the lapped drivers. Unfortunately I don't have the access to the live timing, so I hopefully will be able to rectify that by next round. We'll be able to keep you up to date with the live timing as well. So the camera does an excellent job of coping with the low levels of light. I'm actually struggling to read the numbers until they're right on top of me now. My eyesight is terrible, those of you who know me. But luckily enough, the floodlights doing their best to keep the circuit bright enough to drive on. Two of Hugo, still with the race leader behind him. And Max Botcham getting past now into stadium, just about up the inside. There is the second place number 11 of Zach Brown. Where is third? There is third place Jai Jordan so far. The back marker between them, they are now lapping drivers as well, which makes things difficult of course. It's very easy to get caught up with a back marker and to damage your race. More or less at the half an hour mark now, so I think we can probably expect another 10 minutes or so, depending on how long the break was. I wouldn't have said it was more than 5 minutes. Jai Jordan there, now past the back marker, can carry on as he was, trying to pursue Zach Brown. That is a sizable gap now, though. That's a big gap for him to try and close. There is Zach Brown beginning to happen too, and Jai is just at elbow now, so he's got a way to go, but I think he'll be happy with third if he can't catch him. We'll follow Jai for a lap watch his lines. Like I said earlier, he doesn't tend to use much of the curb. Purely because I think he's one of the, he is definitely one of the lighter drivers, certainly in this championship, if not in the Drivers' Club. And it tends to unsettle the kart when you're not quite heavy enough. But he is still using, he's much closer on that inside this time, which is better. We'll watch him through hairpin 1. This is, I gave him a quick tip in the brake as well, which he has used, and he's stuck onto that left where the track is quite bumpy, but it is faster. And that's a lap with Giant Jordan. So now we'll try and find Mr. Mottram, I think is there, and we'll watch him and just compare the laps. So you'll see Max uses a lot more curb, especially at Pilot 1. He also uses the curb at the S's, which bumps over the end of the curb there, and that opens up the right-hander onto the straight. So he tucks in behind the steering wheel coming down the straight. I'm still dubious as to how much effect that really has, but cuts it nice and close against the tyres on the exit of Stadium, comes out nice and wide into hairpin 1, takes that almost flat out over the bumpy bit, and the same into hairpin 2, and then runs really nice and wide out towards the white line. Could use more of the track there, to be fair. Again, with these younger drivers that don't weigh a huge amount, they don't need to use as much of the track as some of our senior drivers or our older drivers. Just by the fact that they can carry the speed on a much tighter line, and it doesn't affect them so much. Zach Brown's father giving him a big thumbs up as he comes past him that time round. Still a solid second place for him so far, and there is Giant Jordan third, so quite a sizable gap. Not an impossible gap by any stretch of the imagination, but as we reach the end towards the latter stages of this race, it will become that way if Giant doesn't do something about it. Which is easier said than done when everyone's got the same cars. Have a look at this group of 3 as they come down the back straight. Probably the closest battle on the circuit at the moment. A little bit of oversteer there from, I think that's Drake Hines. He goes up the inside. That's an excellent move if you can make that work. Oh, and I think he's going, so they're going 3 wide. Oh, and Max Mottram being squeezed out. That's the race leader being squeezed out by the other 2 back markers. Oh, there's a bit of contact coming out of pylon 1 between the 2 back markers. It's, would have been nose to tail. It's under acceleration, so I'm sure the marshals won't take action from it. But Max now having a look. Max Mottram going, oh, thinking about going up the inside into Stadium, but thinks better of it. Maybe next time. But the longer he stays behind these 2 back markers, the more, the closer Zach Brown will be getting. That's an excellent move there. Superb overtake. There's number 6, but number 7 coming back, and there's contact. Oh, and that was very close, and there may be a contact warning for that. The difficulty there is deciding who is more at fault, the driver that's tried to steer across, or the driver that initiated the contact. It's affected Drake Hines more than it has Ollie Rennick. And Max Mottram getting past Drake. Drake not giving up and trying to get back past the race leader. very close battle now. Max Mottram having a look over his shoulder, making sure he's not going to get chopped by anybody. He needs to get past Ollie as soon as he can, really, because... And there he goes, he's going to get up the inside into stadium, I would have thought, and we're going on to the final lap. So this is the last lap of the race. Maybe Max backed out of that move because he knows it's the final lap, doesn't want to get stuck, doesn't want to bin it off. And he's slowing down now, maybe just hoping for some clear track. He doesn't want to get in the way, doesn't want to get hit or caught up in an incident on the last lap like that one there. Drake kind of spinning. And he's through now, he's got the clear track, he's at the front of the group. So Max Mottram going to take the checkered flag as he heads through the S's for the final time. Bumps the curb, turns it right, gets it on the straight. The checkered flag will be out for him. And there it is. Checkered flag down. Max Mottram takes the win. With Zach Brown second and Jai Jordan in third. Jai Jordan just coming in front of the building now, so I won't have taken the checker flag, but I think he's guaranteed that position anyway based on the gaps. Jai Jordan actually being the last driver to take the checkered flag, ironically, taking that third place. And they slow down now. Thought it would have been a very tiring race for them, I would have thought. It was a very close battles all the way down the grid. And Jai Jordan taking that final podium position. Zach Brown in the number 11 at third, and Max Mottram, the race winner and championship leader. So that will be the end of the live stream. Thanks for watching again. Joe, I won't be streaming the presentation, unfortunately, but there will be a race report up tomorrow morning. So once again, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again soon for another one of the championships. Next race will be on Thursday evening, so by all means tune in, give us a watch. Even if you're not racing, you might pick up a few tips, and we'll see you again soon.